Hello and welcome back. I'm so glad that you are here with the Cancer Cipher Sharon Speaks. I am speaking today and extremely happy that I'm able to do this. Um, Today is a good day. I've not had a lot of rest. I'm a bit tired, but I've got some really interesting topics I want to cover today. So I have some specific goals, and I'm going to have a few papers in front of me. But today, I want to actually talk about physical characteristics of cancer that are so hard to understand when we go to the doctor and they start speaking of different types of tests and what those tests are and what diagnosis they draw from those tests, as well as the emotional and mental effects of cancer. So, um, and then I want to end up with sharing some cancer organizations with you because I think it is very important that you're aware of different organizations that are available to people with any type of cancer, not just breast cancer. So there's many of them out there, and I'll share some of those with you towards the end of the podcast. But to start, I want to share something that really helped me initially in the beginning. So I call this podcast the Cancer Cipher Sharon Speaks because uh, everything the doctors were telling me I didn't understand. After a phone call, after a visit, after a test result I would see in my portal, I would initially go to start researching because I wanted to know what it meant. I wanted to know what they were telling me and how it was affecting my body and how it was going to affect my life. So, just to break it down, the word cipher means a secret or disguised way of writing or a code. So, it makes sense the name cipher for this show. So my goal is to break the cipher. I want to help you to understand when you start hearing specific terms, you can say, hey, I heard that before. I'm familiar with that. And then you can start doing some additional research on your own. Now, I always tell people it's very important when you start to do research, don't just go to Google. Go to educational sites. Go to medical journal sites. Go to .gov sites because that way you're going to get legitimate statistics. You're going to get not just a person's opinion, but you're going to actually get verified statistics. You're going to get tested results. So that's very important whenever you're doing your research. So I want to just kind of give you some examples. And before I get into this, I don't want to forget, if you're new and this is the first time you're with us during this podcast, welcome. I'm very happy that you're here, and I hope you really get a lot out of it. I really hope that hearing this type of information helps you to, get a better understanding of cancer, a better understanding of what people experience as they go through cancer, and also a better way to relate to health physicians that care for us. So, for example, when I initially received my biopsies. I was explaining in my previous episode that I had to have 3 biopsies. One of the biopsies was in my breast. One was in my underarm area called the axillary tail area, because there are actually lymph nodes in that area. There's actually lymph nodes in our neck, our collarbone area, our shoulder area. There's a lot of lymph nodes that are in the top part of our body, and those are what the doctors look at, especially for women or men who have breast cancer or a potential for breast cancer based on a mammogram and continued testing. So once I received my pathology report, there was information on it. And so I have invasive ductal carcinoma. I have ductal carcinoma in situ. And the biopsy showed metastatic invasive ductal carcinoma. So, in essence, that is how the radiologist, the surgeon, the doctor that performed the biopsy, the oncologist, that is how they know what is going on with your body. It is through the testing, and that's why the testing is so important. Also, the pathology report showed extensive associated necrosis. What does that mean? So what that means is once they saw the lymph nodes, they saw how the lymph nodes were dying, basically. When the cancer broke off from the tumor, it attacks the lymph nodes, and the lymph nodes begin to collect the waste from the battle that's going, I call it a battle, the battle that's going on with your cells on the inside. Because cancer basically kills off the good cells and takes over, it mutates and takes over cells. So it's really important to understand these terms. Also, there was extensive extranodal extension. What does that mean? That means that my lymph nodes were very swollen. So seeing these things, that helped all of the physicians to understand that, okay, her cancer is not just in her breast, it has gone to her lymph nodes. Now, your lymph nodes are a good thing in your body, and they are designed to help keep us healthy, to protect our bodies. But in cases where there is cancer and the lymph nodes are affected, there are times that women have to have surgeries to have lymph nodes removed, especially if a woman has had a mastectomy. Unfortunately, there are complications that go along with that type of surgery, because there's a constant fluid that comes from the breast to the lymph nodes, and really any organ that is associated with the lymph nodes. There's the waste fluid, so that fluid has to go somewhere. So when women have mastectomies, that they have to actually have drains on them after their surgery so that fluid can drain out. So cancer's rough. It's very rough. You know, I've been telling my story, and I was really nervous at first to start talking about it. I have not had a mastectomy. I have not had any surgeries. Uh, I felt like I was going to just be left to just, let the cancer run its course because there were no surgeries that I could take. Number one, the insurance companies would not pay for it because I was diagnosed at stage 4. So I am having this podcast to make a plea to men and to women. If you have not done any type of preventative care, now, even if you have done preventative care, continue doing it, because if you are diagnosed with cancer, if you're like a person like me who's diagnosed with stage 4, you're just kind of, well, we're just going to treat you and slow the progression. That's all we can do for you. We're not going to do any surgeries. We're not going to do a lot for you. We're just going to keep you comfortable. And that's where my life is. So that was extremely difficult for me to process. So I'm going to talk about those emotions in a moment. I want to talk more about breaking the code and understanding some of the terms that you hear. Now, also in one of my previous podcasts, I talked about the testing that takes place. So after the biopsies and after, say, you've talked to your primary doctors and they start making plans for you. So there's multiple tests that they will schedule for you. PET scan is one of them. And I'm going to actually take a quick moment to Google that because I want to tell you exactly what that is. It's a full body scan, for one thing. And a PET scan, or positron emission tomography scan, it utilizes a radioactive tracer to visualize and measure the metabolic activity of cells. So what that means, again, breaking that cipher, breaking that code, what that means is once this radioactive tracer is injected into your body through an IV, you have to sit for 1 hour once that tracer has been placed into your body. After that, you're put into a tube like an MRI, and it's from skull to thigh that the PET scan covers. And if you have a lot of activity in your body from cancer, then it's going to light up. The reason it lights up is because cancer loves sugar. Yes, we all love sugar, but cancer loves sugar. And if there's a lot of activity, it's going to light up in your body. And that way, the oncologist and the radiologist can see where your potential tumors are. So that way they can know what their next steps are. So for me, I also had to have a MRI of my brain because breast cancer does spread to the brain, the bone, the lungs, and the liver the most. So I had to have an MRI of my brain. Fortunately, there was no activity in my brain that was concerning, as far as the cancer. It had not spread to my brain. Another test I had to have was a bone scan. Now this is another type of scan where you lay on the table, and just depending upon the facility that you go to, this scan, you're not like completely enclosed like you are with the MRI, but this scan, they wrap you kind of like a mummy. They just keep you totally still, and the bone scan attachments actually move around your body, and it is actually scanning your bone. So this particular test is literally head to toe. So it is another way to verify what is being seen by the doctors. Another test I had, multiple CT scans. One of the chest, abdomen, and pelvis. So now they do CT scans because the CT scans can give a very clear picture of your organs. So again, all of these tests are designed to give a complete and full diagnosis of what the cancer is doing inside of your body. So in my case, my cancer was attacking my bones. It was not in any of my soft tissue organs. It's in my ribs, it's in my spine, my thoracic spine, my lower lumbar spine, and some in few small areas of my cervical spine. And that showed up on all of my testing, as well as the enlarged lymph nodes also showed up on the testing. So it is very important to have these tests. Now, once the doctor has all this information, so far we've got biopsies, we've got blood work, we've got all of these scans that are showing doctors exactly how to diagnose us. Now, remember I was talking about there's different lines of treatment. First line treatment, second line treatment, third line treatment. And I am between my second and third line treatments because my first line treatment failed. And I ended up in the hospital very ill. But thank God I made it through that. And I'm very grateful that I'm still here. My second line treatment was very interesting because more testing. So I want to explain this to you. In second line treatment, doctors will try different medications. So the previous medications that I started on in my first line were discontinued. The second line treatments were started after a while. You have to give your body a chance to recover from the side effects of the first line treatment. After that recovery time, and after my hospital stay that I was explaining in my previous episode, I started with a new second line treatment. Now, initially, this treatment started to work, and the reason the doctor picked this particular treatment was because of a test. So there is a liquid biopsy that doctors can do, and this liquid biopsy can show if you have any type of mutation in your blood system and in your DNA that can trigger cancer in your body. So we found out that that was one of the things that caused me to have cancer. I actually have a gene mutation. I'm sorry, I'm thirsty. This gene mutation caused the cells in my body to basically react with other irritants or invaders in my body, and the cancer just was able to take over. And I think the scariest thing about the whole situation is you have cancer in your body and you don't even know it. You're living your life. You're doing your thing, and all the while there's a deadly battle that's going on inside of your body, and you don't even know about it. That's hard to process. That's very hard to grasp and to understand and to accept, because there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, even with preventative measures, it's good to do preventative measures, but we all do preventive measures once a year. So a lot can happen in a year. So we have to be consistent in what we do concerning our health. So I get emotional about it. That's why I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about these terms. So now the second line treatment, I started taking a medication specifically because they found that mutation. Now this is what I didn't know. The medication that I was taking actually triggered more complications. For example, I developed fibrosis involving the medial right lower lobe adjacent to the osteophytes in the thoracic spine. Basically, what that means, fibrosis is where part of the lung actually begins to harden. Our lungs expand and contract as we breathe, but fibrosis can cause the lung to begin to harden, and it cannot expand and contract, and it can be very painful, very, very painful. Also, the medication triggered a really bad cough. I developed a cough. I coughed all the time. I coughed. I couldn't complete a full sentence. I coughed when I slept. I coughed when I was awake. I coughed when the wind blew. It was terrible. I ultimately went to a pulmonologist, and he was able to treat me. So I had to start using different inhalers and nebulizer, the breathing machine where you have to put the fluid in and hold the mask over your mouth, and do breathing treatments to help my lungs, because I also developed medication-induced asthma. I've never had asthma in my life, as well as COPD. I don't smoke, but that's the effect of the medication had on me. And that's the thing I want to tell you is, when you start a medication education, do your research. I have to say that's one of the things that helped me the most when I initially became diagnosed was starting to research, starting to understand what type of cancer I had, how long my actual lifespan could be with this cancer, what I could do to help myself, what I could do to understand all of the terms that I'm talking to you about, that your doctor talks to you about. That way, once you start doing your research, you can start asking some intelligent questions to your doctor. You can have conversations. You can learn how to advocate for yourself and not just accept what they tell you. Sometimes you might not agree with what the doctor says, but it's okay to say, ask questions. It's okay to politely disagree with your doctor. I will advise you to always be respectful to your doctors because they do document everything in medical records. I used to work a job where I redacted medical records, and doctors document everything from the way you look, the way you act, your mental state. Yes, everything. So just keep those things in mind, but do your research, be prepared, have a notebook, write down questions, ask questions. Don't be afraid to be your own best advocate. You've got to stand up for yourself. You've got to understand that yes, doctors are there to help us, but doctors are on overload. They have hundreds of patients, and they might not have as much time to spend with you as you think you may want them to. So make sure that you're doing your research. So when you have that 30 minutes with your doctor, you can ask questions that make sense. He can give, or she can give you answers that can help you, and that way you can start to at least feel a little bit better about how you're dealing and processing a cancer diagnosis. When I went to the pulmonologist, I was coughing so bad, he didn't really know if he could do testing on me. So we were finally able to get the test done, and it took a long time to do the test. I had to do a pulmonary function test, and it revealed moderate obstructive lung disease. I never had issues with my lungs before I started taking this particular medication, but because I had the genetic mutation, I had to take the medication because that mutation was feeding my cancer. It's so baffling how it works, but that's why the testing is so important. And it's important for us to cooperate with the doctors, listen to the doctors, but also do your research, take your medicine. It's hard. It's very hard because these medications have horrific side effects. I'm telling you some of the side effects that I'm dealing with. But my hair came out. The first line medication I was on busted all the blood vessels in my hands. My hands were bloody and cracked. I was still working at the time, and I couldn't even use my hands. Um, there's a lot of fatigue, a lot of vomiting, diarrhea, nausea, uh, skin. Some people, their skin reacts really bad to the medications. Um, there's scarring from surgeries. It's just so much. Your skin just dries out, but because the cancer is killing off your good cells, the treatment's killing off your good cells. So you have to learn how to take care of yourself. You have to learn how to keep your skin moisturized. I could tell you different things that I've done, but you have to find what works for you. People look at me and they're like, they don't believe I have cancer. No one ever believes that I have stage 4 cancer. I have my Wonder Woman shirt on today because, it is by the grace of God that I'm here and I'm able to share. So remember, do your research. When you start having tests, ask questions. That way you'll know what to research. Study. Whenever you get any type of report back, because remember, I told you, make sure you're a part of your doctors or facilities patient portal so you can have access to all your records, because all of your test results will come through the portal, all blood tests, all of your scans, all of those reports will come through the portals, and you want to have access to those so you can keep up with those. So I want to take a moment, because I don't want to forget, to make sure I give you cancer organizations that really help. When I was initially diagnosed, I didn't know who to turn to. So this is what I did. I started to look up cancer organizations. They have great websites full of information and full of resources. So the American Cancer Society is one, and I will give my disclaimer. I am not affiliated with any organization. I don't promote any organization more than another one. I'm just giving you resources to help you. I don't get anything out of it except for the fact that this is what helped me when I was initially diagnosed. So the American Cancer Society is a good one. Breastcancer.org was another good one. Breast Cancer Research Foundation is a good one. The National Breast Cancer Foundation, a good one. Susan G. Komen Foundation, another good one. If you know someone that has had cancer, you've probably heard of some of these organizations or seen them advertised online or in social media. I know when I'm on Instagram or Facebook, I'm constantly seeing commercials, especially Susan G. Komen, because they do a lot of group activities and challenges and fundraising. So, and I did do one of the breast cancer walks in Miami for the Susan G. Komen Foundation, and it was so much fun. It was hot because it was in Miami, but it was so much fun, and it was very beautiful to see so many people come together who shared the same thing. We all had cancer. So we were all there to be encouraged and to make new friends, and there were sponsors there. Uh, it was great, and the walk was great. There was food. There were giveaways and T-shirts, and it was fun. And you can develop a team, and it can be team sharing, and you all have your own costumes. So it's just a good time, because cancer, as bad as it is, there's ways to turn it around and make it fun. And that is definitely one of the ways, because no one wants to be just in a bad shape all the time. But sometimes that's the way it is. Sometimes I'm in bed all day. Sometimes I don't feel good. Sometimes I can't stay out of the bathroom. Sometimes I'm sick. Sometimes I'm at the doctor every day of the week. This week I had 3 doctor's appointments. It's tough. It's tough, but we have to find ways to keep ourselves encouraged. And for me, it's my faith. And I always share a scripture with um, with you every time, because you're going to know this from my heart, because it's my favorite one. Romans 8:28. It's not the only one I know, but it has gotten me through so much. And I'm so grateful for for God and what God has done for me, and how He has kept me, through all of my cancer journey. It's not been easy on me. It's not been easy on my family. And in my next episode, I'm going to talk about the stages of grief, because as I've gone through my journey, I came to understand that that is exactly what I was going through. My father passed away from cancer a little over a year before I was diagnosed. So I was still grieving him, and ended up with a cancer diagnosis. And I literally could not process that, because my first thought was, I am going to die. That was inevitable. But thank God I'm still here, so God has a purpose for me. So as long as God keeps me here, you're going to hear me and you're going to see me. And I hope and pray that I have shared some information with you today that makes you think and encourages you and helps you, because we have to help each other. The doctors can't do it all. They are great. They're wonderful, and I'm grateful for my doctors. But they can't do it all, so we have to help each other. So that's how I wanted to share those resources. I'll put those in the link after the podcast is finished. But for now, I just want to say thank you so much for being here today. Please like and share and subscribe, so we can continue to get information out and help people. That's what it's all about. The more you help people, and the more you take the focus off of yourself, the more God empowers you, and the more God helps you and gives you strength to get through the day. So that's why, I am doing this. He told me to do it, so I'm doing it, and that's that. But for now, have a fabulous day, and I thank you so much for your time. I thank